Welcome. Welcome to the deep dive. In today's relentless news cycle, the sheer volume of information, it can feel like a tidal wave, right?
Absolutely. It's so easy to get swamped.
Yeah, and you get lost in the immediate headlines, maybe missing those crucial connections or, the deeper why behind what's actually unfolding.
Exactly.
Our sources for this deep dive are absolutely packed today. Breaking developments spanning everything from, well, intense geopolitical flashpoints to drama on the cricket pitch.
Indeed. And that's precisely the mission here, isn't it? We've taken this specific collection of sources, articles, reports, our own notes, and the goal is really to distill the most critical nuggets of knowledge, the real insights.
Right. Cut through the noise.
Yeah, provide that crucial context, explore the motivations, the implications behind the headlines. We want to make sure you walk away feeling truly well-informed, not, overwhelmed.
Couldn't have said it better.
Mm-hmm.
So what fascinating topics are we exploring today? It's quite a journey.
It really is.
We're going from the nail-biting intensity of international cricket, both on and off the field, right into the complex world of global relations, resource disputes, even critical travel advisories.
Then pivoting domestically.
Exactly. Significant domestic policy shifts, security concerns within India. We'll touch on everything from political poster wars to election integrity.
And wrapping up with health, I believe.
Yeah, some groundbreaking health innovations, but also looking at the daunting societal challenges posed by things like neurological diseases. It's a packed agenda, and the connections we'll uncover are, well, pretty compelling, I think.
All right, let's unpack this first. Our sources kick off right on the cricket pitch, specifically at Headingley. We've just seen day 3 of the first test match between England and India wrap up.
Yeah, end of day 3.
India sitting at 90 for 2 in their second innings, holding a slender 96-run lead. This sounds incredibly finely balanced, doesn't it? It absolutely is. That's what makes this contest so gripping, When you look at the scorecard, England did remarkably well to almost erase India's first innings score. India got 471.
Right, a decent score.
And England posted 465 themselves, largely thanks to Ollie Pope's masterful century. Really held it together.
And Brooke nearly got one, too.
Yeah, a vital 99 from Harry Brooke. So despite India having that small first innings lead, they're effectively starting their second innings almost from scratch.
Under pressure.
Huge pressure, especially with those overcast, seam-friendly conditions at Headingley. That pitch often offers something for the bowlers, particularly early on. Makes every run really hard-earned.
And England capitalized on those conditions early in India's second innings, didn't they?
Yeah.
Yashasvi Jaiswal, who had that fantastic century first time around.
Yeah, brilliant knock.
He was dismissed early. Edged Bryden Karst to wicketkeeper Jamie Smith, is that right?
That's the one. It was a critical breakthrough for England, certainly. Jaiswal's wicket brought Sai Siddharsan to the crease. And this is where it gets interesting. Siddharsan, despite getting a duck in the first innings,
Right, must have been tough for him.
he showed remarkable composure, managed to forge a steady partnership with KL Rahul, which was absolutely vital for stabilizing India's innings.
So bouncing back strong.
Exactly. For a young player to do that, under pressure, against a testing English seam attack, it really speaks volumes about his mental fortitude, his potential to. Signals a player who can adapt, learn quickly. Invaluable in Test cricket.
When we connect this to the broader landscape of both teams, one of the most compelling narratives here is, well, it's the battle of future stars, isn't it?
It's a fascinating generational shift, yeah.
Both sides are fielding incredibly youthful lineups.
Right.
Primarily because of the absence of established giants, like Kohli and Rohit for India.
Right. And Broad and Anderson for England. Huge names missing.
It really puts a spotlight on the emerging talent, doesn't it?
It does. On the English side, you have Jamie Smith, the wicketkeeper batter. He didn't just take that crucial catch, but he's been sort of fast-tracked into the squad.
Based on form.
Yeah. His average of 42.73 in 16 red ball innings certainly justified his selection. And he's showing he belongs at this level.
And for India. Sudarsan.
Sai Siddharsan, definitely. Just 23. Clearly a key prospect for their future batting lineup. This opener at Headingley isn't just about this one match,
It's setting the tone.
Exactly. It's truly shaping up as an intriguing curtain raiser for a series contested by these dynamic, younger squads. Everyone's eager to make their mark.
And still all to play for.
Absolutely. 2 full days still to go, the match so finely poised. Either team could seize a decisive advantage. This isn't just about who wins this particular game, it's about which group of young players steps up. Shows that resilience, that skill needed for sustained international success, they could be defining the next decade of cricket for their nations.
That incredible tension on the pitch certainly keeps fans glued, but sometimes that passion spills over in, well, tragic ways. Reminds us that even celebrations need meticulous planning.
Sadly, yes.
Which brings us to a much more somber event off the field. The tragic stampede following Royal Challengers Bengaluru's historic IPL title win.
Yeah, RCB's first title. Huge moment for them.
But it resulted in 11 fatalities, 30 injuries outside Bengaluru's M. Chinnaswamy Stadium. Just heartbreaking to hear.
It truly is a profound tragedy. Our sources detail that the chaos erupted because large, unregulated crowds, fueled by the euphoria of that first ever IPL title,
Just overwhelming joy.
they simply overwhelmed the city's infrastructure. The crowd management plans just weren't sufficient.
And the BCCI's initial response.
Initially, the Board Control for Cricket in India, the BCCI, seemed to distance itself from the incident, which understandably drew significant public scrutiny. Outcry, really.
Yeah, you'd expect that.
But amid that pressure, they've now taken accountability, which is a crucial, if maybe belated, step towards addressing the systemic issues that led to this disaster.
So what's their response now? What new, tangible protocols are they putting in place to prevent this ever happening again, especially given the scale of IPL celebrations?
Right. Well, the BCCI has established a 3-member investigative panel headed by Secretary Devajit Saikia with Vice President Rajiv Shukla and Treasurer Prabhat Singh Bhatia.
Okay.
This committee has been instrumental in pushing for heightened safety protocols, resulting in some truly stringent new rules.
Like what?
For instance, IPL teams are now barred from organizing any major public celebratory events for a mandatory 3 to 4 days post-title victory.
A cooling off period.
Exactly, that's what they're calling it. It's explicitly designed to allow adequate time for secure, well-coordinated event planning, moving away from those spontaneous, potentially dangerous gatherings.
That makes a lot of sense. You can imagine how that initial spontaneous rush combined with, inadequate planning.
Precisely. That combination can be lethal. Beyond that, franchises now need prior written approval, not just from the BCCI.
Multiple layers.
Yeah, from a multitude of local stakeholders. Local police, state authorities, civic bodies. This multi-agency approval ensures all aspects of public safety are considered before anything gets the green light.
And security at the events themselves.
Critically, yes. Any approved events must incorporate stringent multi-layered security, covering everything from the airport where players might arrive right through to the actual celebration venue. The aim is a seamless security cordon protecting everyone, players, staff, and most importantly, the fans.
So a major overhaul.
It's a direct, albeit tragic, response to one of India's worst sports-related incidents in decades. Reflects a broader, more responsible approach to event management, balancing that immense celebratory enthusiasm with public welfare and safety.
And when we talk about legacies, how we choose to honor them, that brings us neatly to the recent controversy around the Anderson Tendulkar Trophy.
Ah, yes, the naming.
Former India captain Sunil Gavaskar has strongly condemned the England and Wales Cricket Board, the ECB, for prioritizing James Anderson's name ahead of Sachin Tendulkar's.
This really ignites a crucial debate, doesn't it, about how sporting bodies acknowledge and elevate cricketing legends, especially across different cricketing cultures.
Gavaskar didn't mince words, apparently.
Not at all. In his critique in Midday, he argued unequivocally that Tendulkar's legendary career, his unparalleled global influence, his seniority, it all deserved first billing, indisputably.
What about the ECB's reasoning? Alphabetical order.
He completely dismissed that, called the alphabetical naming logic lame, contended it wasn't just about A before T, but a deeper issue of acknowledging cricketing hierarchy, national pride even.
So disrespectful in his view.
He felt it was a clear sign of disrespect to a player of Tendulkar's unparalleled global stature. Even urged Indian fans to just call it the Tendulkar-Anderson Trophy themselves, a sort of quiet act of defiance.
Wow, Gavaskar really didn't hold back. What specific elements of Tendulkar's stature did he emphasize to make his point so forcefully?
He highlighted Tendulkar's unmatched stature as the highest run scorer in both tests and ODIs, a truly monumental achievement.
Unbeatable records.
Pretty much. He also underscored Tendulkar's century tally, which, as Gavaskar put it, frankly, eclipses Anderson's achievements.
Ouch. Any other points?
Furthermore, Gavaskar critiqued Anderson's relatively limited effectiveness outside England, suggesting his impact, while significant, isn't globally comparable to Tendulkar's.
Interesting point.
And it's worth noting, Gavaskar pointed out a subtle but important distinction. Anderson was never part of a World Cup winning XCZ, although he was in the squad for England's 2010 T20 World Cup triumph.
Right.
For someone like Gavaskar, who deeply understands cricketing legacy, these are significant differentiators when considering who gets top billing.
And what about the Patauti medallion? Our sources mention the ECB also introduced this to honor the series-winning captain, paying tribute to the Patauti family's legacy.
Which is a significant legacy in itself.
Did Gavaskar have thoughts on that too, or was his focus just on the trophy naming?
Oh, he absolutely had strong opinions on the Patauti medallion as well. He questioned this choice quite pointedly, asked what kind of recognition would even exist for the Patauti name if the series was drawn.
Good point. It might just be forgotten.
That was his implication. He then offered a very specific alternative: award a Patauti medal to each Test's man of the match.
So more consistent recognition.
Exactly, and then present the main trophy to the series' best performer. His argument was that this approach would ensure the Patauti name features more consistently, more meaningfully, rather than being tied solely to a series victory.
Makes sense.
The underlying dynamic here is how Gavaskar's remarks reflect a wider discontent among Indian fans. Many perceive the ECB's decisions as dismissive of cricketing legacy, of symbolism. It adds this layer of cultural, historical resonance to what's already an intense test battle.
So it's not just about names on a trophy.
Not at all. It's about deep-seated respect, perceived national identity within the global cricketing fraternity.
Moving from the cricket pitch to the high-stakes world of international relations now. We have news of a U.S. strike on Iranian nuclear facilities that has absolutely rattled global markets.
Yeah, major development.
President Trump hailed it as a spectacular military success, claiming enrichment sites were destroyed. But Iran immediately warned of everlasting consequences, signaling both retaliation and, interestingly, a willingness for diplomacy.
It's a complex response, but this marks a truly sharp escalation, one that could significantly draw the U.S. deeper into the existing Iran-Israel conflict.
And the market impact, immediate.
Oh, yes. Immediate and quite stark. Analysts are anticipating significant oil price surges. Brent crude, for example, was already up 18% since mid-June.
So markets were already nervous.
Exactly, indicating that tension was already priced in to some extent. The real concern now, what has analysts on edge, is if Iran retaliates by targeting Gulf oil infrastructure or, critically, by disrupting the Strait of Hormuz.
That choke point.
That vital choke point. For our listeners, about 1/5 of the world's daily oil consumption, roughly 20 million barrels, passes through there every day.
Wow.
If that transit is disrupted, prices could soar well past $100 per barrel, potentially even reaching $130.
And what would a surge like that mean for the broader global economy, beyond just, the price at the pump?
A sustained surge past $100 a barrel would almost certainly fuel inflation across the board. It would weaken consumer confidence globally. And it complicates any plans for U.S. interest rate cuts, might even push central banks to consider hikes.
Wider ripples, then.
Definitely. We're already seeing broader investor anxiety reflected in the sharp fall of cryptocurrencies like Ether, often seen as barometers of risk appetite.
Interesting. What about regional markets?
Interestingly, Gulf stock markets showed rather muted reactions initially, while Israel's index actually hit a record high, suggests some regional differentiation in market sentiment.
And the U.S. dollar.
Its impact remains uncertain. On one hand, you might see a traditional flight to safety, which could temporarily strengthen it.
Right.
But that could be counterbalanced by broader concerns over inflation and lingering geopolitical instability. Bond yields might dip initially as investors seek safe havens, but U.S. Treasuries could also face headwinds from those persistent inflation worries.
So, a lot of uncertainty still.
Completely. Some analysts looking for a longer-term resolution view this assault as maybe a prelude to regime change, or paradoxically, a potential pathway to a peace deal, though outcomes are entirely unclear.
History suggests markets can rebound.
Often, yes. Past Middle East crises have shown market rebounds after initial shocks, but the caution here is significant. If oil were to hit $130, inflation could near 6% by year-end. That would have severe global repercussions. So global markets are definitely bracing for sustained turbulence. Diplomatic options still hanging precariously in the balance.
Shifting to another incredibly high-stakes geopolitical development, India has suspended the 1960 Indus Waters Treaty.
A huge move.
It sparked severe backlash from Pakistan and, understandably, raised fears of conflict between the two nuclear-armed neighbors. This action followed that deadly terror attack in Jammu and Kashmir's Pahalgam that killed 26 civilians.
This is a truly volatile and dangerous situation, particularly because the Indus Waters Treaty has long been regarded as a rare symbol of cooperation, even during periods of extreme tension between India and Pakistan.
It held up for decades, right?
It did. Brokered by the World Bank back in 1960, it allocated the waters of the three eastern rivers, Ravi, Beas, Sutlej, to India, and the three western rivers, Indus, Jhelum, Chenab, primarily to Pakistan, though allowing India limited uses on the western rivers.
So what's India's claim now?
India's current claim is that Pakistan had been unjustly benefiting from the treaty, and in direct response to the Pahalgam terror attack, they declared they would permanently reroute water from rivers previously allocated to Pakistan under the treaty, redirecting it to Indian states like Rajasthan.
And the immediate impact on Pakistan?
Severe. A nearly 20% slash in Pakistan's water supply almost immediately, which has already severely affected their dams and, crucially, their agricultural sector. This isn't just an economic hit, it's, well, potentially an existential threat for a country so heavily reliant on the Indus River system.
Wow. And how is Pakistan reacted to this? I mean, essentially weaponizing a vital shared resource.
The reaction from Pakistan has been, as you might expect, escalatory. Deeply alarming. Former Pakistani Foreign Minister Bilawal Bhutto Zardari issued a stark warning, stating unequivocally that Pakistan would seize all 6 rivers if India didn't reverse its decision.
These all 6 rivers.
Yes, calling India's actions a virtual declaration of war. He framed water as an existential red line for Pakistan, positioning his country as the rightful guardian of the entire Indus civilization, emphasizing the historical, cultural significance.
And the official government line.
Pakistan's foreign ministry echoed these sentiments, labeled the move a brazen violation of international law, and warned of grave consequences for regional stability. This isn't just rhetoric. It underscores the profound importance of water resources in a region already prone to scarcity and conflict.
That's incredibly strong, even alarming language. Is there any international intervention or response happening to mediate this, given the nuclear capabilities involved?
Well, Bhutto did mention the possibility of legal action, international arbitration.
But is anything actually happening?
Our sources indicate there has been little significant international response or mediation so far, which itself is a concern, given the stakes. Meanwhile, India is proceeding with its infrastructure plans, new canals to reroute the river flows, which could cement the changes on the ground.
So it's becoming a real flashpoint.
It's transformed what was a rare symbol of cooperation into a massive potential flashpoint in South Asia. The water dispute now carries heavy geopolitical weight, both nations digging in on sovereignty, historical rights. With no signs of de-escalation, the vital Indus River system, supporting millions of lives, is now central to a growing diplomatic and potentially military standoff.
It really highlights how resource scarcity, combined with history and mistrust,
Can become a catalyst for severe international tension, absolutely.
This brings us to a related issue. India's energy security amidst all this global volatility. Petroleum and Natural Gas Minister Hardeep Singh Puri has sought to reassure citizens, saying fuel supplies will remain stable despite these escalating Middle East tensions, linking directly to that U.S. strike on Iran we discussed.
Right. That reassurance stems from India's proactive and strategic diversification strategy.
They've been working on this for a while.
Yes. India has made a concerted effort to significantly reduce its reliance on traditional supply routes through the Strait of Hormuz, which, as we noted, is now a highly threatened choke point. What's crucial for listeners to understand is that while India imports a substantial 85% of its crude oil,
Which is huge.
it is, but they have built considerable strategic preparedness. Indian oil, Bharat Petroleum, Hindustan Petroleum currently hold sufficient reserves for several weeks. And crucially, India is now receiving energy via multiple alternative routes, including increased imports from countries outside the volatile Middle East. This significantly reinforces their ability to withstand potential disruptions.
That's a strong position to be in, especially given India's massive energy demands. What about their physical infrastructure, those strategic petroleum reserves, the SPRs? How do they play into this confidence?
India has indeed made impressive strategic infrastructure achievements, bolstering its energy security. They now boast 23 modern refineries, combined annual capacity of 257 million metric tons, significant processing capability.
And the reserves themselves.
More critically, their strategic petroleum reserves, the SPRs, are fully operational. They act as a critical buffer. We're talking massive underground facilities, Pudur, 2.25 million metric tons MMT, Visakhapatnam, 1.33 MMT, and Mangalore, 1.5 MMT, with another under active construction in Chandikal.
So a real safety net.
Exactly. These reserves are specifically designed to cushion against significant supply shocks during geopolitical crises or unforeseen global events, providing several weeks' worth of critical supply, in a world where global oil markets are constantly on edge.
Especially with Hormuz handling 20 million barrels daily.
And threats from groups like Yemeni Houthi rebels, who've threatened renewed maritime attacks if the U.S. escalates further. This commitment to safeguarding energy security is paramount. It demonstrates a clear national strategy to shield the Indian economy from external shocks, maintain stability.
Now let's talk about travel. The U.S. State Department has reissued its Level 2 travel advisory for India, urging American citizens to exercise increased caution due to heightened risks of violent crime and terrorism.
Yeah, and our sources clarify this isn't an escalation from previous advisories. That's important.
Right, not a higher level, but still a warning.
Exactly. It underscores ongoing, persistent security concerns. Concerns about sexual violence in urban and tourist areas, potential terrorist attacks on transportation hubs, markets, government sites. These are persistent and warrant caution. The advisor gets quite specific about regional restrictions, which is vital for any American contemplating travel. It's not a blanket warning for the whole country.
What specific areas are highlighted for avoidance or increased caution within India?
Americans are strongly urged to avoid travel to Jammu and Kashmir, with the specific exceptions of eastern Ladakh and Leh generally considered safer.
Right.
Areas within 10 kilometers of the India-Pakistan border are also on that list due to ongoing cross-border tensions. Additionally, parts of central and east India affected by the Naxalite insurgency where armed Maoist groups operate, and Manipur due to recent ethnic violence and clashes. Those are high-risk zones.
In the Northeast?
Caution is advised in northeastern states like Assam, Mizoram, Nagaland, and Arunachal Pradesh due to sporadic unrest and separatist movements. Furthermore, the U.S. government warns that consular assistance may be severely limited in rural swaths of eastern Maharashtra, northern Telangana, and western West Bengal, stressing the absolute need for comprehensive contingency planning before entering those areas.
So very specific, granular guidance. Are there any other practical pieces of advice for American travelers to India?
Yes, several key recommendations. Women are specifically advised against solo travel, reflecting heightened concerns about gender-based violence, which has unfortunately been a recurring issue in some reports.
Anything else?
Travelers are strongly recommended to avoid satellite phones and GPS devices, as these are restricted in India and can lead to legal issues.
Yep.
And, crucially, they're encouraged to enroll in the Smart Traveler Enrollment Program, or STEPO. It's a free service. Allows U.S. citizens traveling or living abroad to register their trip with the nearest U.S. embassy or consulate. Helps the embassy locate them in an emergency, send safety info, assist families in contacting them during a crisis.
Useful.
Very. This advisory follows terror incidents like that April Pahlab attack we discussed earlier, reflects persistent safety challenges. It really underscores the importance of preparation, situational awareness, and a thorough risk assessment for anyone planning to visit India, ensuring they can mitigate risks effectively and, enjoy their travel safely.
Turning our attention now to India's domestic landscape. We're seeing some significant developments in Kashmir, particularly around Operation Sindoor. Our sources present two very different takes on this, highlighting the deeply contentious nature of the region.
Definitely contentious.
On one hand, Kashmiri leaders are strongly criticizing the Indian government's deployment of 70,000 troops for the annual Amarnath Yatra pilgrimage, calling it excessive militarization.
This is indeed a deeply contentious issue, reflects those long-standing tensions. Senior Kashmiri leader Shamim Shal, speaking to PTV News, vehemently condemned the sheer scale of the military presence during the Amarnath Yatra, which is a significant Hindu pilgrimage.
She called it an overreaction.
Yes. Described it as an overreaction that, in her view, reflects insecurity rather than genuine necessity for pilgrimage safety, warning that such a heavy-handed approach only alienates the local population, deepens distrust between Kashmiris and New Delhi.
And she took issue with the name itself. Operation Sindor.
Yes, that was particularly provocative for her. What she specifically took issue with was that name.
Why is that name, Operation Sindor, considered so problematic, so offensive?
Well, Shaw argued that the term sindoor, that traditional red vermilion powder worn by married Hindu women, a symbol of marital status, devotion, is culturally insensitive, deeply offensive when used to brand a military operation.
Applying a religious, gendered symbol to security forces.
Exactly. She asserted that applying such a symbolic and gendered term to a massive security deployment adds a layer of provocation, disrespect, particularly in a politically volatile environment like Kashmir with its significant Muslim populations. Critics argue using a religious pilgrimage as a pretext to further militarize the region just fuels resentment, could lead to greater unrest, human rights violations, rather than fostering peace.
Undercutting efforts to win hearts and minds.
Precisely. Kashmiris continue to feel marginalized under siege. It becomes a flashpoint for cultural, political identity.
So that's one perspective on Operation Sindor. But then we have the contrasting narrative from BJP leader Shazia Ilmi regarding the arrests connected to the Pahalgam terror attack.
Yeah.
Presents the operation in a very different light.
Exactly. Shazia Ilmi from the ruling BJP commented on the National Investigation Agency's, the NIA's, recent arrest of 2 men accused of harboring the attackers responsible for that tragic Pahalgam terror attack. She specifically noted that these arrests came shortly after Operation Sindor was initiated, effectively framing the operation as a security success.
Interesting timing, she suggests.
Right. Ilmi emphasized that various agencies, especially the NIA, have been actively pursuing leads to reveal the broader conspiracy behind the incident, suggesting a larger coordinated network. She described the attack itself as shocking and scandalous, particularly for the safety of Indian women on the pilgrimage, and expressed confidence more information would surface, indicating a potentially deep-rooted effort.
So defending the operation as necessary.
Her remarks signal the BJP's clear intent to defend Operation Sindor as a necessary, effective measure for national security. It reinforces their narrative that the Pahalgam attack isn't isolated, but part of a broader threat matrix authorities are actively dismantling, thus justifying the heavy troop presence.
A real clash of narratives.
This whole situation powerfully underscores the ongoing tension between regional leadership in Kashmir, advocating for autonomy, human rights, and central authorities in New Delhi, prioritizing national security, counterterrorism, highlights the fundamental conflict over cultural sensitivity, how to balance security with civil rights in a deeply complex region.
Shifting gears, we're seeing a fascinating political poster war erupt in Maharashtra between the Maharashtra Navnirman Sena, MNS, and Shiv Sena, UBT, ignited by the state government's revised 3-language policy.
Yes, this has become a very sharp cultural and political flashpoint. The new policy allows a 3rd Indian language option for students in classes 1 to 5, which both MNS and Shiv Sena UBT claim directly undermines Marathi identity, promotes Hindi imposition.
The sensitive issue there.
Very sensitive in Maharashtra. Linguistic identity is deeply intertwined with political power, regional pride. Raj Thackeray, the MNS leader, known for his pro-Marathi stance, quickly launched symbolic protests, including the dramatic burning of Hindi textbooks, and sending stern letters to school principals, warning against what he calls a hidden agenda to dilute Marathi's prominence.
So he's really drawing a clear line in the sand on this. What specific demands is he making?
Absolutely. Raj demanded a written assurance from the government. Hindi wouldn't be compulsory at any level in Maharashtra schools, urged educators not to cooperate with what he deems a betrayal of Marathi culture.
And the posters.
MNS posters are explicitly accusing the government of imposing Hindi on Marathi speakers, instead of focusing on promoting Marathi to outsiders who move to the state. This campaign is aimed at reasserting their traditional role as defenders of Marathi pride, creating a political platform around this emotive issue, a very calculated move.
And Shiv Sena, UBT, led by Uddhav Thackeray, echoing a very similar sentiment.
Which is interesting given their past political dynamics.
Indeed, Uddhav Thackeray echoed the sentiment, issued a strong warning to the BJP about severe consequences if it attempts to destroy the Thackeray brand, a clear reference to the family's powerful political legacy, a thinly veiled threat. And he accused the BJP of sabotaging a potential alliance.
Yes, accused the BJP of sabotaging a potential MNS-Shiv Sena UBT alliance, referencing Raj Thackeray's recent meeting with the chief minister. suggesting a strategic maneuver by the BJP to prevent the two Sena factions from uniting.
And his son.
Uddhav's son, Aditya Thackeray, added further fuel on social media, declaring, "The fight for our Mumbai has begun," explicitly calling the government anti-Marathi, suggests a concerted effort across the Thackeray family to capitalize on this linguistic issue.
So despite Chief Minister Devendra Fadnavis's clarification that students now have choices,
Right, he tried to clarify the language choices.
critics aren't convinced. And it seems like these posters suggest a looming political shift.
They absolutely do. What's fascinating here is the intensifying speculation around a potential MNS Shiv Sena UBT partnership in upcoming civic polls, particularly in key corporations like Mumbai and Thame. This language controversy isn't just about policy. It underscores deeper identity politics, potentially significant shifting alliances within Maharashtra's political landscape, parties positioning themselves.
The language debate as a battleground.
A convenient battleground to rally core voters, establish political relevance. It truly makes you wonder how these cultural flashpoints can fundamentally reshape political coalitions, electoral outcomes in a diverse nation like India.
Now let's turn our attention to Bihar's electoral rolls. The Election Commission of India, the ECI, is planning an intensive house-to-house verification ahead of the Bihar Assembly polls, aiming to register only eligible citizens. Sounds like a massive, critical undertaking.
It is indeed a monumental task and absolutely crucial for the integrity of the electoral process. This move comes after significant concerns were raised by civil society, political parties over alleged arbitrary additions and deletions in the voter list, which can obviously impact fairness.
Why so many updates needed?
The ECI cited multiple, often complex reasons. For example, in 2024 alone, a staggering 46.26 lakh, that's 4.6 million individuals, changed residence across India, leading to necessary deletions, re-registrations.
Wow, huge numbers.
And that's just residence changes. Additionally, 2.32 crore, 23.2 million corrections were sought, many due to deaths, and 33.16 lakh, 3.3 million new voters turning 18, requested replacement of voter details. In total, that's around 3.15 crore, 31.5 million changes nationwide in 2024 alone.
That's truly massive. Highlights the challenge of keeping rolls accurate.
Exactly. Shows the sheer dynamism of the Indian population, the constant need for vigilance in electoral management.
What are the key specific issues they're trying to address with this intensive verification?
A primary focus is on the chronic underreporting of deceased voters. Often, families don't proactively inform election authorities, leading to ghost voters.
Right.
There's also a concerted effort to identify and delete names of foreign illegal immigrants. Though this process can sometimes be contentious due to verification challenges, the ECI has emphasized the entire verification follows strict constitutional legal norms, providing ample scope for objections, appeals by parties, citizens before final publication,
Trying to ensure transparency.
striving for full transparency and accuracy, understanding the immense public trust at stake.
And there are logistical changes to polling stations too, aren't there? Aimed at accessibility.
Yes, another important aspect. New rules limit polling stations to a maximum of 1,200 electors, ensuring more manageable queues, better voter experience. Crucially, they also ensure no voter travels more than 2 kilometers to vote. Often involves rationalization, creating new polling stations, especially in rural or dense areas.
So a big effort overall.
This rigorous house-to-house verification, last done with this intensity in 2004, intends to do more than just update lists. It aims to restore public trust, reinforce the integrity of electoral processes amidst scrutiny, allegations of manipulation. By revisiting homes directly, the ECI hopes to quell concerns, promote confidence ahead of the crucial Bihar elections, ensuring genuine voters aren't sidelined.
Really highlights how fundamental accurate voter rolls are to democracy.
It does, and it raises an important question. In an era of rapid population shifts, significant migration, potential misinformation, how do societies effectively ensure the integrity and accessibility of their democratic processes?
Let's shift our focus now to some critical societal shifts, starting with a looming health crisis in India, the projected neurological tsunami of Parkinson's disease.
A stark projection.
Our sources indicate cases are set to surge by a staggering 168% by 2050. India expected to account for 10% of the global burden, reaching around 2.8 million patients. That's an alarming figure, medically and socially.
It truly is. To fully grasp the scale, Parkinson's disease, PD, is a progressive neurodegenerative disorder, primarily caused by the decline of dopamine-producing neurons in a specific brain area.
Meeting the movement issues.
Yes. That decline leads to a range of motor symptoms, tremors, muscle rigidity, slowed movements, bradykinesia, impaired balance, all progressively worsen over time. While PD isn't usually directly fatal, it dramatically reduces quality of life, functional independence, makes daily activities increasingly difficult, and, crucially, as of now, there is no known cure, only treatments to manage symptoms.
And what specific factors are understood to be driving this projected dramatic surge in Parkinson's cases in India?
Well, the exact cause remains unknown for most cases, but about 10 to 15% are directly linked to specific genetic mutations. Environmental factors are also implicated, growing evidence linking things like long-term pesticide exposure to increased risk.
And younger onset cases are rising too.
What's particularly concerning is the observed rise in early onset and juvenile Parkinson's, often more strongly linked to specific genes like LRRK2 and Parkin. However, the most significant overarching driver for this steep rise in India is its rapidly aging population.
Demographic.
Exactly. As PD is primarily a disease of older age, most diagnoses after 60 know, the demographic shift towards an older populace in India creates, well, fertile ground for this projected surge.
I can only imagine the immense toll this will take, not just on patients, but profoundly on their families, caregivers. Must be an overwhelming burden.
That's where the concept of the caregiver burden becomes absolutely central. Experts warn the medical focus on patients often overshadows the immense emotional, physical, financial toll on caregivers.
Right.
Our sources illustrate this powerfully. An account of a Delhi woman whose once active father's Parkinson's diagnosis left her emotionally, physically exhausted as his full-time caregiver. The situation is compounded in India by a societal context still burdened by stigma around neurological conditions and severely poor formal support systems.
So families carry most of the load.
Families often become the primary, often sole providers of care, leading to significant social isolation, financial strain, lost income, medical expenses, and profound emotional stress for caregivers navigating the progressive decline of a loved one, often without adequate systemic support.
So, given this impending crisis, what can be done to manage the impact, mitigate its severity, especially in a country with a vast, diverse healthcare landscape like India?
Neurologists emphasize several key areas. First, early symptom recognition. Subtle changes like persistent tremors, slowed movements, even changes in handwriting or speech. Early recognition, though diagnosis is symptom-based, can enable earlier intervention with treatments.
Okay, lifestyle factors.
Second, lifestyle measures are highlighted. Regular physical exercise, often tailored to the individual. Antioxidant-rich diets may potentially delay onset or slow progression for some. While there's no cure, improved awareness and comprehensive support are vital.
Like what kind of support?
Environmental modifications in homes, improving safety, mobility, and crucially, establishing, promoting community support groups for both patients and caregivers. These groups provide invaluable emotional support, share practical strategies, reduce that sense of isolation.
It's more than just a medical issue then.
India's impending challenge with Parkinson's isn't just a medical issue for individual patients, it's truly a caregiving crisis in the making. Without significant systemic support, public health initiatives, it risks overwhelming both patients and their families, creating a broader societal challenge.
From the profound challenges of disease, we move to innovation in healthcare. Amazon has just launched Amazon Diagnostics in India, marking its global entry into the at-home lab testing sector. Sounds like a truly significant move. Could reshape how people access medical services.
It is a truly strategic, significant move by Amazon. Through a partnership with Orange Health Labs, a full-stack diagnostic lab known for its convenience-first model, Amazon is offering a remarkably streamlined, tech-integrated healthcare experience.
How's it work?
Users can now book a wide array of diagnostic tests directly through their Amazon app, schedule convenient home sample collections, then access their digital reports seamlessly, all within that familiar Amazon ecosystem.
And the reach.
They've initially rolled this out across 6 major cities, covering over 450 PIN codes, offering an impressive range of around 1,000 diagnostic tests, routine blood work, to more specialized panels. Leverages Amazon's existing logistical prowess, massive user base.
So they're clearly building a much larger healthcare ecosystem, aren't they? Not just a standalone service like they do in other sectors.
Precisely. Amazon Diagnostics is positioned as the third pivotal pillar in Amazon's rapidly expanding healthcare portfolio in India. It complements their existing pharmacy services, launched in 2020, and their clinic services, aiming to build a unified healthcare ecosystem under the overarching Amazon Medical brand.
And Orange Health Labs role.
They play a critical role here as a reliable partner, ensuring fast, accurate, reliable testing with minimal patient hassle. This integrated approach allows Amazon to capture a larger share of the healthcare journey, from prescription fulfillment to diagnostics, creating a comprehensive digital health hub.
How does this entry impact the existing diagnostics market in India? Are they poised to become a major player? Or will traditional providers hold their ground?
This move positions Amazon as an immediate, strong competitor to existing diagnostics providers in India. They're leveraging their vast digital infrastructure, their incredibly efficient logistics, and their deeply established brand trust. That's a powerful combination.
Tapping into growing demand.
Directly taps into India's fast-growing health tech space, where demand for doorstep diagnostics surged dramatically post-COVID and continues to thrive, driven by rising health awareness, preventive care focus, and those persistent challenges of urban healthcare access, long clinic queues, difficult commutes. Amazon's offering directly addresses these pain points, brings the lab to the customer's doorstep.
So it's really about making healthcare more accessible, efficient, convenient for millions.
Absolutely. This launch aligns perfectly with Amazon's broader strategy, expanding into essential services, high-frequency customer touchpoints, cementing its position in daily life. It truly underscores a significant shift toward preventive, home-based healthcare models in India's urban landscape, where consumer preference increasingly favors convenience, speed, tech-enabled solutions.
The future of diagnostics is changing.
As Amazon scales this offering, it has the potential to significantly reshape India's diagnostics market, making health testing more accessible, efficient, digitally integrated for millions. This raises an important question. How will traditional healthcare providers, with their established physical infrastructure, adapt, innovate to compete in this rapidly evolving, technology-driven landscape of patient care? The future of diagnostics in India is certainly going to be dynamic. #outro.
And that brings us to the close of another deep dive. What an incredible and, at times, stark range of topics we've covered today.
Quite the spectrum, yeah.
From the finely balanced cricket pitch at Headingley and that tragic aftermath of an IPL celebration forcing a re-evaluation of safety, to the high-stakes geopolitical shifts impacting global oil, vital water treaties between nuclear-armed nations.
We also delved into those intense national security debates in Kashmir, the intriguing political poster wars shaping alliances in Maharashtra.
Before finally exploring significant advancements in healthcare tech and the looming profound challenges of diseases like Parkinson's.
Indeed. What becomes strikingly clear, I think, as we connect these seemingly disparate threads, is how interconnected these stories ultimately are.
Right. It all links up somehow.
Whether it's a policy decision in Delhi directly impacting a crucial river in Pakistan, or a global conflict in the Middle East indirectly affecting your local fuel prices, or even a domestic tragedy at a stadium prompting a nationwide overhaul of safety protocols for an entire sport. Every piece of information, every event casts a ripple across multiple domains, influencing economies, societies, individual lives. It truly begs the question for you, our listener. In a world where information moves with such unprecedented speed, crosses so many boundaries, how do you personally navigate it all? To not just consume news, but to genuinely make sense of the bigger picture. Understand its profound implications for your world.
It's a journey, isn't it? Continuous learning, critical thinking. We hope this deep dive has given you some valuable nuggets to chew on, insights that help you connect those dots.
Hopefully.
Until next time, stay curious and keep exploring the connections.